Today we are doing a tasting that you guys have so often recommended. We are trying and ranking 3 different Japanese lagers. Right down here you can see 3 Japanese style lagers. I don't know what they are. Today we're going to use the clear glasses. I'm going to taste through the 3 of them, talk about their differences, and then rank them in order of my favorites, 1 through 3. I just want you guys to know before I dive into sample 1, it's dumping rain here in Charlton. It was bright and sunny. We had a majestic vista up here. We were gonna make it all nice and pretty for you guys, but instead I'm under this umbrella. There's umbrellas in the shot. We're making it work for you guys because we love you. We want you to love beer. We want you to have a good time. So crack something on the couch there, crack yourself a Julius, crack yourself your favorite local beer so we can dive into these samples together. Sample number 1. Oh, I'm gonna like these. Crisp, bright, a little bit floral, reasonable amount of hop bitterness, and quite dry in this first sample. I like that. Now, if I compare this to like an American light lager, for example, for me, it's got like a little bit more sweetness, but then on the finish, it's a little bit punchier, a little bit crisper, a little bit higher effervescence, and really, really, really gentle and crisp. Great start with sample number 1. Moving into sample number 2, the lightest in appearance of the 3. Great aroma, clean, crisp, straw, dough, wheat. Probably no wheat in there. Not to go on a tangent, guys, but I'm not sure what Japanese style lagers I'm drinking right now. I'm assuming that they're rice-based lagers. At least that's what I'm tasting so far. And are they even brewed in Japan?
I think one of them is brewed in Italy.
Okay.
One of them is brewed in Richmond, Virginia, and California.
Japanese lager brewed in Italy. It sounds kind of dope, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it begs the question, you know, what actually is a Japanese style lager? Certainly the recipe and construct, the rice base is something that generally lends itself to a Japanese style lager. And in this day and age with globalization, it can be brewed apparently anywhere. All that said, sample number 2. I will say, in comparison to the American light lager tasting, for example, Bud Light, Miller Lite, Coors Light, these guys have a little bit less fermentation flaw. They have a little bit less of that sulfury acetaldehyde character. Super, super crisp and clean. This second sample has a little bit of banana. It's a touch on the sweeter side from sample number 1, but I'm quite enjoying it. Final sample. I like this. 3 is a good number. I know sometimes you guys like to watch me suffer through 5 or 6 or 8 samples, but for me, the taster, it's really easy for me to develop my impressions and have a really strong idea of which way I should rank these when there's actually less beers to try. Sample number 3. Crisp and clean. Clean, clean, clean is the name of the game here. This guy has a subtle banana note. This one actually smells, it doesn't smell as sweet to me. It smells really crisp and clean. It's hard for me to describe that, but sometimes a saccharin-based smell or a sweet-based smell can kind of stick to your nostrils. It feels thicker and fuller, and you can kind of get an impression of sweetness on the aroma. And this particular beer does not smell that way at all. It smells actually quite dry. Kind of floral, like a little bit of lavender even. Okay. All right, yeah, and the flavor, that guy actually has a little bit of that green apple character. Simple lager fermentation, a little bit of hint of that sweetness from the rice. Finish is really, really, really dry. Easy, I think it's easily the driest of the bunch, at least in my flavor perception that I'm getting in this particular sampling. My one takeaway from sampling these 3 is that I quite like Japanese style lager. It's going to be really hard to pick a favorite. Without a doubt, if you hand me any of these 3 to have a meal, to have some ramen, to have some sushi, something like that on a hot summer day, I'm going to be delighted with any one of these 3. In terms of how I would rank them, the impressions from the 3 that I got were basically this. This guy on your far right, my left, struck me as the most dry and crisp and easy drinking of the bunch. Did have a little bit of that classic acetaldehyde appley fermentation character, but I don't mind that because I'm accustomed to it with US-based lagers. The sample in the middle, also clean and crisp, a little bit on the sweeter side, not overbearing. And then the first sample I thought was kind of a nice combination of the 2, not too sweet, not too dry, kind of striking that note right in the middle. So in terms of how I would rank them, I would actually choose the sample on my left, your far right, as my favorite. I would choose the sample on your left, my right as my second favorite. And I would choose the sample in the middle as my third favorite. If you guys are fans of the channel, you know that I often pick the beer that's the driest and most crushable as my favorite. And the beers that have a little bit more sweetness, I tend not to gravitate to. That doesn't mean that I don't love all three of these beers more or less equally. This is just an order of my personal preference. But the moral of the story here with these three beers is that when they're in nice condition, which these three are, you can't go wrong. Yeah, I want to know what's what. I will tell you that, again, these are not beers that I've drank with any regularity in my life. I don't understand or know the flavor profiles. I could take a crack at guessing what they are, but I don't think it would be useful because, again, I don't know the flavor profile.
Your number one is Asahi.
Yep.
Your number two is Sapporo.
This guy. Funny story that when I met my wife, we went out for sushi, and it was my first experience with Treehouse L Dog, and she ordered a Sapporo at the bar, and they brought her like a 38-ounce can, and I have a picture of it from my old cell phone. It's like bigger than her head, but I have a great memory with Sapporo, and that's cool that that one was in the tasting.
Number three, Kirin.
Kirin. Yeah, I mean, three iconic, all amazing, good for different reasons, Japanese style lagers. This is like the yellow mustard and Heinz ketchup version of this style of tasting. These are obviously the three Japanese lager icons that the boys have put in front of me today. I don't know Japanese lager as well as I know many other styles, so if you guys have great recommendations, we would love to hear them in the comments. This won't be the last time we try this style of beer, and we would love to do this again, so leave your thoughts down below. If you're familiar with the channel, you know that if criticism is warranted, I will give it, but more often than not, I do understand that macro and mass market beers are typically made by people that really care about their quality, especially when they're found close to home and where they're produced. And all three of these examples kind of embodied that spirit, and you can't go wrong with any of these three. If you guys enjoyed this content, we have a whole playlist with content just like it. We'll link it down below. Get subscribed, leave your thoughts down below. Drink well. See you next time.